Okay, so before starting this project, building my home gym, I've got a lot of difficulty. It's not just reading and writing, it's processing information, understanding maths, and so forth. I can give you the measurements of this room, but it's just numbers, it doesn't process, I don't understand it. So that is a big problem designing this home gym. Now, for the last 30 odd years, I've always had a home gym on and off. First 15 years was just like a substitute because I always worked in a gym, so I always had something at home just to work out if I needed to. The last 15 years, I made a video explaining my situation with mental health has deteriorated. I needed a home gym more than any time. I've always been, the basic 1 inch barbell, plates, bench, and a rack. That's all I've ever needed because I've always been like, well, I just want to be fitness, not bodybuilding, mass or powerlifting or anything like that. Just want to get in shape, basic shape, nothing fantastic. So, first gym floor option. Now, I live in a apartment, so council flats, first floor. So I needed a quality gym floor. So, looking on YouTube, in UK, home gyms doesn't seem to exist. It's a very cloak and dagger sort of thing. But in America, it's very open. But all their gyms are always in the garage or in the basement and so forth. So they always recommend horse stall mats. But the problem, what I've discovered, is that they have toxic smells, they have oily tops, they're hard to clean, they slip and slide, so you have to have like masking tape to hold them into place. I've also discovered that if you don't get a certain back on them, that they have mold, and they don't all come in the same batches. So if I don't get enough, I might end up with a totally different type of mat. So that's not an option. So my third problem I run into is, it's a bigger room. I might have to scale down because of being in a property like what I am. I might not be able to have what I want. But I've used the foam jigsaw puzzles. They work fine for 1 inch dumbbell set up in basic gym, regardless of what everyone says. So that's definitely an option. I then run into my fourth problem. I don't know how the previous owners got away with it, but it's laminated floor. I think that's the right word. It's basically this thin piece of wood which interlock together. It's poorly laid. It's not. There's gaps everywhere, and it's not the greatest quality. The problem people might think, well, what's the problem about the build quality? Well, the thing is that it makes a lot of noise. When you walk on it echoes. And I've discovered that there's no underlay. I think that's the correct word. So that means there's nothing underneath it to cushion the sound. I've also discovered that there's floorboards under here. I don't know if this can't be that a block of flats is just made with just simple floorboards as their foundation. My previous flat was just solid concrete. So that's, like I said, going back to scaling what I can and what I can't have. I might have to have foam and carpets. So that was, so it was like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I discovered a channel called Block. He does reviews like Coop. Americans probably understand better than the UK guys. I'm sorry if I butchered the name, but he did a review of different gym floors. So he suggested these thin like the foam, but they're rubber. They're very thin though. It's like a sheet of very thin. I was like, well, I don't want to look on Amazon or eBay or anything like that because the situation where I want to be with a company what I'm dealing with direct. So if there's any problems, as everyone knows, dealing with Amazon or eBay, it's a nightmare. So I looked and thought, right, I'm going to Myrofit, Mirofit, they're the entry level basic gym equipment in the UK. Yeah, they have the mats, but they sold out. And I was thinking, well, I've got some underlay. Will those thin mats, will there be enough cushion? Because like I said, I need to make sure that there's enough sound, doesn't give enough sound. So that's not an option. I didn't want to look at any other company because it's like, I know that Mirofit is the go-to. I know I could trust it. So I was like, okay, go back to carpet, go back to foam, that's my option. Glock then suggested these rolls, rubber rolls, so they're big, like carpets, you just roll them. Like I said, I've got learning difficulties. I don't know if there's companies in the UK like I can do for carpets, where someone can come in, give me an estimate, tell me how much it's going to cost. I don't know if there's a company that does that. Don't know. Technically, it's too advanced for me to do a DIY project like that anyway. So that was not an option. So I was like, okay, that's it. Too stressed, can't cope. And then I found a guy, an English guy. It's a couple of years old video. Talked about these rubber squares, big thick square tiles, which come in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 mil thickness. I think that's the correct word again. So I was like, okay, looked on their website where he suggested how many tiles do I need. So that means I have to measure the room and so forth. And I was like, I'm not very good with technical explaining things. I don't understand technical things. I don't understand measurements. I don't understand anything like that. Can't do that website. I started looking at Mirofit again. They do it in rectangles, not squares. So that means that it's going to take more tiles to fill up the room. And you've got these two different options. You've got the plain black rubber, which is the cheapest option, or what they call fleck, where they put colour in, which is the more expensive option. I put in the measurements because they had a calculator on their website. Brilliant. It's going to cost me over £1,000 to fill this room. I don't know if it's going to be the same for carpet. So it's like £1,000. I can't afford £1,000 in one big hit. There's no way. So I started looking at other websites. Again, information overload. I can't look at certain websites because the layout is too much for my brain. Some didn't have the calculators, some did. I wasn't quite sure of the company, and it was like, no, I'm gonna have to scrap the whole gym or just go scale it down. And then I found Spring, whatever the name is, home gym floors in the UK. Tons of reviews, calculator. I put in what I thought was the measurements for this room. They were estimated about over £600 to fill this room. It's like, nope. I can't even fill 600. So I put down took the measurements back, and I was thinking, well, hopefully I can make a little weightlifting square, and then hopefully in maybe 4 months, maybe 6 months, I'll be able to afford to decorate the whole room. because I've got other projects. Because this room isn't straightforward in a square, I've got one side of the room longer than the other. I've got, I think, alcoves where it's like two cupboard spaces, wardrobe spaces, is where I've got a diagonal, the door where the balcony is a diagonal straight, so it's like all complicated measurements, so I can't tell you how big this is. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Spring gym flooring from UK looks like. Take care.